All right, my babies. We have item tracking right now. What's the purpose? To capture and assign responsibilities for issues and stakeholder concerns that pose an impact on the solution. You remember how we talked at one point about data flows and basically just to see how basically when we're modeling something, we're seeing something move from one place to another. So there's the conceptual side where we plan, and then there's the actual application side. And every once in a while, you kind of have to test if everything if how do you test if something's kind of like based on what you planned or not. So you track the flow of data, you track the item, you track the physical thing. You track it through how much does it cost, how much time it takes, the quality, what happens to it, right? So just random, whatever. Just giving random examples. Description. Item tracking is an organized approach used by business analysts to address stakeholder concerns. Stakeholders may identify such item types as actions, assumptions, constraints, dependencies, defects, enhancements, and issues. Right? Like, if I'm genuinely, just think about it this way. Coffee is picked from fucking Africa and is sent to the Middle East. As it gets to the Middle East, a lot of shit is happening. So you track the item, and at every single point, you kind of see on its journey, you see what the fuck's going on, and you see where it's going on, and just the drama of it. I don't know. Just remembered something I was writing about yesterday. It's the journey. It's the journey. Right? One second. All right, my bad, we're back. I just had to write a note. So, item tracking, when stakeholder concern is first raised, it is assessed to determine if it's viable. If viable, the concern is classified with a specific item type so that it can be better tracked and controlled by a process that works towards the item closure. During its life cycle, an item is assigned to one or more stakeholders who are responsible for its resolution. It's a lot of words. I explained what I talked about earlier. Item tracking tracks the item from the initial recording of the concern and its degree of impact to its agreed upon closure. Like I mentioned coffee from Africa, but we could do from basically farm to shipment, or from shipment from point A to point B in shipment, or from point B to point C, or the whole journey from like when the seed is planted till it becomes a tree. We can track anything we fucking want any way we want it. We get to decide. Yay. Look at us. Power to the people. Anyways, the item tracking record may be shared with stakeholders to ensure transparency and visibility into the status and progress of items in the record, right? So what are the elements? There's the item record, and there's the item management, and then there are the metrics that we decide to work with. And each record item may contain all or any of the following attributes for item tracking. These items may be recorded using various software applications or manually cataloged for sharing between an agreed set of stakeholders. Item identifier, a unique identifier that distinguishes one item from another. Summary, a brief description of the item. Category, a grouping of items with similar properties. Type, the kind of the item raised. Date identified, the date of the item, identified by the person who initially raised the concern. The impact, the possible consequences of the item if the item is not resolved by the resolution date. Impact can be assessed in relation to the initiative's time, cost, scope, or quality. Or quality? Or is it and quality? Never mind. What's the priority? It's the importance of the item, the resolution date, the date by which the item must be resolved. Who's the owner, the stakeholder assigned to manage the item to its closure. Resolver, the stakeholder agreed assigned to resolve the item. Yeah, the owner and the resolver can't be the same person because biases, right? Agreed strategy, agreed upon strategy for the item. Examples include accept, pursue, ignore, mitigate, and avoid. And the status, the current status of the item within its life cycle. Examples include open, assigned, resolved, and cancelled. Resolution updates, a running log of details about how the item's resolution is proceeding towards closure, as well as approval of its completion. And an escalation matrix, the level of escalation in case the item is not resolved by the due given date. Oh, escalation matrix is interesting. Is that basically like we're here, we're almost done or something? No, that's not it. A level of escalation in case the item is not resolved by by the given due date. I have no idea what that is. But I feel like that's the estimation of like how horrible things would be if this is not resolved, right? Uh, yeah. Each item's resolution is undertaken as prescribed by stakeholder needs and according to any organizational process standards. In some cases, one item may cause another item to be recorded and tracked. In these situations, close attention is needed, right? Like if you're tracking, for example, pickups, you probably are also tracking the elements that the pickups carry. Blah, 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 blah. Not sure that's the best example. Maybe we could use this if you're tracking farmers and their tools, and when they actually go to like pick fruit, for example. If you're tracking the usage of each tool and how long it will last, you probably also need to kind of like connect how many pieces of fruit that they cut with, so that you see how often is it sharpened, and eventually, like it's not how many times the tool goes into the farm; it's how many times the tool cuts. That's basically what leads to its deterioration. So if that's something you're tracking, then ultimately you're tracking also how many apples you're cutting, right? And some items, when you're tracking them, you have to track other items as well. Each item needs to be tracked to its closure or resolution. It's very important. All stakeholders benefit from the detailed information that is maintained around any item and its progress. These items can be looked at individually for resolution or even used to define key performance indicators. Metrics are important because, I mean, like, I love it because, like, the metrics, you get to choose them. You decide them based on where you want to go. By reviewing this output, stakeholders can determine how well items are being resolved by the proper resources, the initiative is progressing, and the item tracking process is being utilized. What are the usage considerations? Well, strengths ensures concerns around stakeholders' requirements are captured, tracked and resolved, and stakeholder satisfaction. Allows stakeholders to rank. Also, it gives clarity of what's going on because, like, this is the plan and this is what actually happened, and then you compare the plan and then you do better next plan you do. The limitations: it's not careful. If it's not careful, a copious recording of data about items may outweigh the benefits realized. Like, remember, some information. There's a lot of information out there. Most of it is just not relevant. It may use time that could be better spent on our efforts, and stakeholders could become mired in details and statistics. It costs resources to do stuff like this. So if you're looking at, for example, here's my friend, or I met a guy that wanted to sell basically boba. And on a daily basis, basically, he wanted to sell 100 cups. And he was kind of like discussing how if he gets a machine, he could make basically 10 extra cups. So 10 extra cups every half an hour or something. And I told him, perfection, let's track how many cups he can do daily. And by doing that, what we ended up realizing that he could do up to like 500 cups daily if he worked 6 hours, I think, yes. Because he makes them in batches, right? And after that conversation, man, I kind of like told him, like, if you get a machine, you're getting 10 extra cups an hour, but your maximum amount of sale is 100. So it's a bad investment. So because we actually created that record, right? Like, we were able to kind of like track certain things and like consider certain things. We were able to do it. And then he started telling me how the machine would save him time and actual money when it comes to the costs. And then I actually compared the sales versus the costs, because in order to save 10 cents per fucking boba cup, at 500 cups a day, he's saving $50. It makes sense. But if he's selling less than 100, then he's barely saving $10. It's not worth it yet to pay $10,000 for a machine, right? So it's the same tracking, but financially now we switched. Anyways, I just wanted to share something that I think is also related to the limitations of tracking, because, like, you can track something that's completely useless, like he was tracking basically, like, you know, he was tracking without considering how much he's selling. So, right? Anyways, lessons learned is the next thing that we're going to be studying. Love you.